So this video is for setting up your computer from fresh, brand new, to setting up your development for JavaScript, HTML, CSS type work. It's a good starting point. It's the kind of thing I would put on my fresh new system. I normally work on a Mac, but today I'm working on a PC, so I thought I'd record everything that I usually set up to get started. Okay, so first thing, we're going to install Vagrant. We're going to use VirtualBox to get Vagrant going. We're going to install Scotchbox, which is a starting point for Vagrant, so we don't have to install everything one by one. It's kind of pre-configured for, you know, PHP, all the basics you would need. Then I'm going to go through installing an IDE. You can use whatever you want. I tend to use Visual Studio, but Visual Studio Code is free. You could use WebStorm or even a simple text editor like Sublime Text. That would work. We're going to install a terminal like iTerm or Commander if you're on PC. We'll need to install Git to do version control. We'll need to install Node, npm. To work with Git, it's easier if you use an application, so source tree is free, works pretty well, and an FTP application like FileZilla. So let's get started with Vagrant. All right, let's get out of this present mode. Vagrant. So Vagrant is free, and what the point of this Vagrant, by the way, is to get a Linux box on your Mac or PC that you can host your website on. You could host it on the PC itself, but then you end up messing with your own PC settings. If you do it in a virtual machine with Vagrant on a Linux box, it's more like the final destination you're going to send your website to anyways. So I tend to prefer that. You can wipe the Linux box and start fresh on the next project. So yep, I'll download the Windows one. So standard install, follow the prompts, click yes, yes, yes. I might speed this up if it takes a little long at some of the steps. You know, while we're downloading this, we'll also have to install VirtualBox, which is going to load our virtual machine. So we'll get that going too. Now VirtualBox, these links I'll have on the YouTube if you're following along. So VirtualBox, we're going to click on Windows hosts here in this case. Keep it. Get that downloading as well. Let's just double check on Vagrant. Vagrant's done. We'll click finished. You must restart. Well, I might have to pause the recording for that, but let's say no for now. VirtualBox, we'll get that installed. And it looks like I've already installed this once, so let's just click on, yeah, it's already installed, so I'll click repair. Does the same thing. Okay. This also wants to reboot, but we'll say no. If you're doing this at home, just go ahead and reboot. So VirtualBox, it looks like I've already done this once before. I think I uninstalled it once just to record it again, so it still sees traces of that. Okay, so we don't really need this right now. So Vagrant's installed, VirtualBox is installed. And now we need a terminal program. Now I recommend a software called Commander. If you search for CMDR, you'll find it. This is a better terminal than you would get with Windows. If you're on a Mac, I would recommend iTerm. So let's download this, and that looks like I already installed it. If you just follow the prompts here, download the full one here, click OK, yes, 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 then you will get a nice little terminal like this. Okay, we'll keep that open for now. I'm going to put my project on C projects, and I'll make a directory called what am I going to make? Project. No. I'll just stay here for a second. Now let's download the pre-configured Vagrant setup, and that's called Scotchbox. So I have a link to that as well. But actually, to get that going, we're going to need to install Git. So let's get Git. All right, let's get Git. If you just search for Git, you'll find here, this link here. It's first hit on Google. Download for Windows. I'm pretty sure I already have Git installed, but let's just go through the setup again. If you haven't been using version control, I recommend it. What this does is it lets you save every step of your project. So you could work on a project today, you could work on it later in the afternoon, you work on it tomorrow, and each time you save it, it remembers that state of what you did. So if your client next week decides to go back to an older version that he liked before, it's all there. If he says today, please delete this page or delete this distributor on my page, and then next week or next year even decides to put it back up, you don't have to do it again from scratch. You already have it in the history, and you can revert those changes. Let's run this. Git's got a bit of a learning curve, but if you use a program like SourceTree, it's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to click on these. Git defaults should be okay. Even this scary red thing, ignore that. It should be okay. Okay, Git is done, finished. We don't need that. Let's see. If I were to type git-v, unknown operation, there's no version. There it is. Okay. So Git's installed. You know what? We're also going to need node and npm. That's also on our steps to do. We'll do that after. So if we're going to launch Vagrant and set up a Linux virtual machine to host all of our websites on, you could do it from scratch. But that takes forever, and that would take all day. You'd have to set up Apache, you'd have to configure virtual hosts and all those things. You'd have to update it. It takes forever. So there's a pre-configured one that I use called Scotchbox. I'll put the link up as well. So Scotchbox 2.5, and it says all you got to do is just clone and then run Vagrant up. And what that will give you out of the box is Ubuntu, PHP, the two basic things we'll need. In that Linux box, we'll have Git, a lot of PHP things if you're into PHP development, databases, Node things. It'll pre-install PHP frameworks. A lot of extra stuff I'll never use, but it's a good starting point. And they've got a really good guide here how to set it all up. You see, you'll need Git, and then you copy this into your command line. So let's do that. Git, we're cloning a copy of Scotchbox from GitHub into a folder called My Project. Let's just go with it. All right. So now we have a project, My Project folder. And okay, so now to run this, you just type Vagrant up. Now this is going to fire up Vagrant using VirtualBox. And let's hope it all works out of the box. I might have to reboot my machine if it complains, but otherwise it should just work. Now the first time you do this, it's going to try to download Scotchbox. I may already have this cached, I don't know, because I did do this the other day, and it took about a half hour to download it. Well, it looks like I already have it, so that's good. There was an error. VBox manage. This looks like I might need to reboot. So let me reboot and I will be back. Okay, I am back. I rebooted my machine. I hope it just works. Let's take a look. Let's go back to C, projects. Go into the new My Project folder we set up, and we will type Vagrant up. Now if VirtualBox is properly set up and the Vagrant works with it nicely, hopefully after this reboot everything just works. So far so good. Okay, so we have it going. Vagrant is running in the background, but where? How do we get into it? You can see the little configurations here. The last line here is telling you that your C projects My Project folder is being mapped to var dub in your Linux box. That's pretty cool. So you can work on your PC in Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text or whatever text editor you want, and it would be modifying files in your Linux box. The two are mounted together. So if you type Vagrant SSH, that will fire up the terminal inside your Linux box. So I'm now inside my Linux box. If I type ls, which is Linux for just typing directory, you can see I'm in a completely different files here, not your PC. So if we go change the folder to var dub, we see now this folder should mimic the file that we were on your own PC. So these two should be the same. We have a public folder, we have a README, we have this Vagrant file with just a Vagrant configuration file, and inside here is your website. So that means just out of the box, this has Apache all set up. So let's fire up the web browser and go to, what is the address? If we scroll back up here, you can see it probably tell you that it's mapping it somewhere, which I do not see here. But then we can get that from this Vagrant file. So let's open that up in Sublime Text. I didn't do that yet, so let's do that real quick. I recommend Sublime Text. It's my go-to text editor. So sometimes it's better to work in a text editor, and sometimes it's better to work in a full-blown IDE. Text editors like Sublime Text fire up real quick. This one, it's free, but it'll nag you to buy it. Still totally usable. You can use Notepad. Notepad kind of sucks. So get something like Sublime Text. Buy it. It's kind of expensive, actually. How much is it? $70. Well, you can use it for free. It'll just nag you every now and then, but it's no big deal. So if you were to open this in Sublime Text, look at that. And you can see in the configuration, it's mapped to this IP. So let's copy that. Let's go to your browser. And if I put that in and go there, this is being served up from your Linux box on your PC. This is basically index.php in your folder. So let's go back into public. This file is this website. Cool. Yeah, let's open this PHP file. You can see all that HTML is to tell you what's installed, and a little checkbox telling you it's working. Awesome. All this for free. I didn't have to install PHP. I didn't have to install Apache and update patches and install Git again inside your Linux box. Or it's all pre-set up. MySQL. So if you're doing a PHP dev, this is a good starting point. At least for basic work. Okay. So now that we have a basic website going, let's close this, and leave that open. We could delete that, start a new project right here in this public folder. We could do that. Let's finish installing the cool tools that we need. Let's finish getting, so we have Git. We'll need a good GUI to work with Git, and I recommend SourceTree. SourceTree is also free, and it's pretty awesome. Download for Windows. And there it is. So this GUI will let me add to a version control set up on anywhere, even remotely on GitHub or on your own PC. So let's create a new repo. Should we jump right into Git, configuring Git? So if this was your new project, oops. So if this was your new project, go into the public folder. And let's delete index.php. So if you had a client and you need to build a new website, maybe a WordPress site or something, you did it all in this folder, you would want to version control that. So the command for that is git init to get a brand new Git repo going. And so that's done, it's created. Git status tells you if there's anything that you've done, any new changes you've done that's ready to be committed, which there isn't. So if we create a new text file in here, oh, by the way, all your settings of Git are in this little folder. Usually it's kind of hidden. Yeah, ls, if you can see it doesn't really show up. So if we create a new file, let's make a new index.html. Do a bit of HTML in there. It works. Okay. Let's get a title in there. If I want to save this work, you could do it in the command line. You can type git add dot, and you could git commit this into your repo, but it's much easier if you go into SourceTree and do it using this GUI. So let's set this up for the new repo we created. So we'll go to open. We'll go to our C projects, my project, this folder right here. We'll select it. It should detect that you have a repo in here, and yes, let's make a bookmark so it's easier to find next time. And it says, okay, a lot of junk going on in this page, but basically, if we go through these, This is set to show you what's changed recently. So we've changed the index. Actually, we deleted the PHP file, and then we created a new index.html file. So it recorded the deletion. So if you ever need to retrieve that in the future, it's there. And it recorded this creating a new file. And we're going to say, yep, these two changes, I want to commit them. And I'll just say first commit. This is a little comment you can put for each commit. And what am I? Oh yeah, you have to check off all the files that you want to include. Oh, you have to add them. So I'm right clicking on these two and I'm going to add this. So they're in the commit, ready to go. And then I click on commit. So now you're just thinking, okay, where is all my stuff? If we click on this left here, what is this? Oh, cool. Where did all this come from? It looks like there was already a commit folder here. Sorry, a Git set up already in this folder that came with Scotchbox. Cool, you can see everything they did to build this Scotchbox for us. Oh. And there's the one that I initialized and started from scratch right here. So ideally we would delete the Git folder before we did this, so we didn't have all this junk brought in with us. But you can see there's my first commit. You can see that I deleted this folder and I added this file. Sorry, deleted this file and added this file. But wow, I've never noticed that they include a Git repo already in your Scotchbox. Neat. So nothing new to commit. Leave that minimized for now. So now we have a Linux box to start doing some HTML work. Oh, we need an IDE. We need a good editor. Visual Studio Code is free. I haven't really used it. I only installed it the other day for the first time. People seem to like it, and it's free. I do actually own WebStorm, which I use every now and then, but for real, I really work with Visual Studio, the full Visual Studio. All right, follow the install process. WebStorm is not free. I think I paid $60 for it or something like that. You could just get by using just Sublime Text, but you kind of appreciate all the extras that they give you when you get a full-blown package like Visual Studio Code or WebStorm. It integrates everything together, like Git. You can do Git right inside these applications. All right, let's launch Visual Studio, and let's launch our project. So we go to Open Folder, back to C, Projects. There's my project. Cool. So now it's much easier to work with all your files. I'm sure there's some sort of tool to format this and indent this properly, and widgets to auto-complete this so I don't have to type that all out manually. But we can do some basic HTML, JavaScript work already at this point. Let me check, what else was I going to do with this tutorial just to get started? We have all the basics now. Node and NPM, that's what we're missing. Node. Let's download Node. Version latest. Oh, it's actually recommending 6.9. Sure, I'll get that one. Okay, Node is installed. Let's take a look. Go back to terminal. If I type, actually, I might have to reboot this commander, my terminal. Sometimes they don't take effect until you close and reopen it. once you've installed things like that. So let's try C projects, my project, and if I type node, there it is. Does this have npm? We do, version 3.1. So npm is a package manager. This is cool. So if we're going to start doing some Angular, React, or something like that, you're going to be working with npm to download those modules into your project. So we have that now. As you can see, I've already got Chrome. If you don't have Chrome, I definitely recommend you switch to this browser. It really makes working with websites, like developing for it, much easier. You could use IE, but I can't stand the developer toolbar. So when you right click on something, like say we want to modify, well, let's go back to our project. What was it? 192. If I wanted to do some HTML work on this file, I right click on it and click on inspect, it opens this dev environment. So you can see behind the scenes, we can see all the attributes and all the settings that we need to tweak. Much better than Internet Explorer. I don't know why every time I use Internet Explorer it keeps crashing on me when I really start tweaking with these things or debugging code, so stick with Chrome. But you will need a lot of RAM if you're using Chrome for some reason. Okay, I think that's everything on my list. So we went through, we installed code editor, text editor, Git, version control, a GUI to manage that. We were going to do FileZilla as well. I don't really need to go through it with you, but it's free. If you need to upload your files to your client files to a web host, FileZilla is a good free app. I recommend it. I may already have it installed. Let's see. File, yep. This is what it looks like. This is your files, and then once you connect to your client, it'll be right here, and it's a simple matter of dragging across. I'm just going to update it. Okay. So that's it for this quick intro video to get the basic environment set up. I'll have more videos coming where we are going to start playing with Angular. I've got a lot of stuff to go through, so look for those videos soon, and thanks for watching.